All right. They could trade for Trey Lance at the deadline. There's another Trey who may be available. Trey Hendrickson, elite edge rusher. If the Niners see the thing about Trey Hendrickson, he's in his 30s.
Yeah.
And he's on the last year of his deal. So it's hard to ask from the Bengals perspective. That's where he plays. It'd be hard to ask for like a first round pick, even a second round pick on a player you're going to have for like half a year.
That's what I'm saying is I don't like the Trey Hendrickson thing. I don't.
Would you trade a third for him?
I would trade a fourth, and that would be my highest.
I'd trade a third for him.
We need offensive line so bad.
That's true.
We need offensive line and we need safeties. And if we trade BA, we need a receiver. We need a wide receiver one that can stay
I just think if you could replace Bosa, you could have a good defense even without Fred Warner. Because I think Tatum Bethune's a good run defender. And I think that their biggest problem right now is pass defense, not run defense. And until they get a pass rusher, they're going to continue to struggle against the pass. But if they got Trey Hendrickson, I think that defense would be really good. But you're right. They'd still have to fix the offensive line. They have the worst run game in the league. Trey Hendrickson doesn't fix any of that.
Yeah. And that's my biggest thing is like, that's again why I think they need to go after Thibodeau. Because I think what you could do is you could package Juwan in a, fifth, sixth rounder, and then say, and we get Thibodeau. You guys get the receiver you need. You could sign him. He's cheap right now. And we get Thibodeau. We could sign him. He'll be cheaper. And then you could save like a big pick that you'd use on Trey Hendrickson for a guard or a safety or a draft. I feel like if Niners are going to buy, I just don't see them buying on Trey Hendrickson with Fred Warner out. You know? Like, I feel like that would be a hard sell. Because then someone like you would be like, why would you buy a elite level edge rusher for a high draft pick when Fred Warner and Nick Bosa are injured?
Well, what I would say, the reason I'm in favor of them going after Hendrickson for a third is you don't have to necessarily extend him. If he leaves and signs a big contract with another team, the Niners very well could get a third round compensatory pick the following year. So they could kind of get their draft capital back, or they could extend him and trade Nick Bosa, which I kind of like that idea. But But the other point I want to make, I think it's so interesting that the Niners are always focused on the D line. They throw a lot of draft picks at it. They spend a lot of money on it. And when it's time to get another, like it's the deadline and Bosa's out, you can get Trey Hendrickson most likely if you want to. If you have these guys, elite defensive linemen are available every year on the trade market if you have the draft capital. If you want an average starting offensive lineman at the trade deadline, good luck. I don't know where you find those guys. Those guys almost never get traded. And I think the Niners should keep that in mind when they're drafting. You have to draft offensive linemen.
Yeah.
You're not going to get them at the deadline. And when you got Trent Williams that 1 year, that was a one-off.
Yeah, for sure.
Washington was in shambles and you had a relationship with him. So
well, they almost killed him, so it's completely different situation. Like
that's true.
You have a dude
you're not going to take advantage of another situation
yeah.
like that again. Like, do you know how many offensive linemen the Niners have drafted in 9 years with Kyle Shanahan as the head coach?
Isn't it like 1 or 2?
10 in 9 years. 10
aren't they all in like they're all in like the 5th round of
okay, how many offensive linemen have they drafted in the first 3 rounds
0
in 9 years?
Oh, first 3? I would 1. No.
3. McGlinchey, Banks, and Pooney. 3 and 9
years. Drafted
now,
none. Oh, I thought you said first round. They've drafted 0 in the first round, though, right?
Oh, McGlinchey. 1 in round 1, 1 in round 2, and 1 in round 3. Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code COHN, COHN, and download the app now. Skill position players they've drafted since 2017, 24.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't even count that.
It's almost 3 times more important in Kyle's mind than the offensive line. When in reality, you got 5 skill position players, you got 5 linemen. They're kind of like.
I think it's because though is the whole like you see Mac Jones, right? The difference between Mac and Purdy when they're on, right? Because Purdy needs a little time. Purdy's better off play action than Mac. Mac's better at snapping and throwing than Purdy. And so the offensive line issues are a lot more glaring with Purdy because Purdy just needs this like a half a second longer. Mac is what Kyle loves to run with Jimmy. So you don't need as strong as offensive line if you're snapping and throwing, you know? So I think he's obsessed with the skill position players because with good enough skill position players, he covers up for a mediocre line.
Yeah, but the problem with Kyle is that ultimately his quarterbacks get hurt
For
quickly
sure.
and often. So, yeah, I mean, Max playing well and his style is, helping
You
keep
do
him
need offensive
alive,
line.
but he's going to get hurt. He is hurt.
Yeah.
He's going to keep getting hurt. Brock's going to keep getting hurt.
Mhm.
So
Adrian
I don't.
Martinez is going to come in and get hurt.
Yeah,
like
it's just like 2022. Hugo de Jesus says, "Can we keep anyone healthy if we trade?" Scared. Yeah, it was funny. The Niners are getting linked to Trey Hendrickson last week, and his back tightened up. It's like, man, all you gotta do is get associated with the Niners.
I saw them linked to Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb, and I was like, please God, no. They're going to get injured before they get off the plane.
That's true. It's Nick for real says, having Bijan on my fantasy for 6 weeks, we should sell the farm for him and move Christian to the Debo role with Ricky and Bourne out wide. They're not trading Bijan. How about that?
Sell the farm for Bijan. I am with it, Nick. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in a dynasty fantasy league. If I had Bijan on my team, he'd be on my team until he retired. Guess what? I have Jahmyr Gibbs, and I'm never trading him. And he's not half the player that Bijan is. Why not play Nick Martin?
I've been asking the same question. They do
because he's not a Mike linebacker. Mike linebackers are. I asked Tatum Bethune today to explain the difference between a Mike linebacker and outside linebacker, and he's like, "Look, they're both hard positions to play, but if you're playing Will, you're concerned about doing your job. You're playing Mike, you're concerned about everyone doing their job. So he's not a Mike, at least not yet. They haven't been training him to do that. He's a Will, and they like D Winters in that role right now. So if D Winters gets hurt, sprains an ankle, watch Nick Martin play."
Didn't Kyle say though, like today, that like if Nick Martin wants to play, like now's his time to show it. Basically, now's his time to get on the field.
Yeah, someone says someone asked him, "Is he going to get an opportunity to play now that Fred's down?" And he said, "Pretty much, absolutely, yes." So we'll see what he can do.